The following is a list of Moors who have been kidnapped and are being held for a demand of income. The demand of income is being made by against the family, as well as through fraudulent submissions of documents alleging that they are caring for the people in some sort of long-term care fashion. These Moors have been kidnapped literally off the streets by employees of various corporations that are guised as county, city, town, township, borough. These names that we have all been mentally conditioned to believe are government are not. They are exactly what they say they are. They are municipal corporations. And as such, if you do the research, you will find that they are foreign corporations on American soil. Therefore, they do not have standing nor jurisdiction to make a demand of income from the Aboriginal Indigenous people or any people on American soil. This making their actions criminal. However, as Moors, we must bring these crimes to the forefront via civil complaints against the unalienable constitutional treaty secured rights of the people, Aboriginal Indigenous Moors of this land. So we start out with our sister RVBey, who was kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis Corporation and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee. Now, we say under the purview of Tennessee, which is a union state, because every union state is bound and obligated to protect the people from foreign and domestic invasion. We then have Daoud Ill under the purview of Arkansas. And if we don't have the municipal corporation that actually did the kidnapping, then we just reference the union state that is bound and obligated to protect the people. We have Amir Muslimin Ill and Kusu Ra Kushbey under the purview of Missouri. We have Asar Patan Amin Ra Bey under the purview of Ohio. We have Jeremy Paler Ill, Terry Thorne Bey, J. Mikal Brooks Bey, Joseph Kanaday Ill, Kush Amir Bunch Ill, Emmanuel Billings Bey, Yasin Khalik Alamin Ill, Michael Curry Bey, all being held under the purview of North Carolina. Noble Crisco Ill under the purview of New Jersey. Messiah Aziz Ill and Crystal Ill, both kidnapped through a joint venture between Mercer, Freehold, and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. We're still waiting on an update of the infant baby of Patricia Bey, which was kidnapped by the Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. We have Eldridge Teron Fisher Ill and Martise Sevion Ill under the purview of Indiana. Solomon Ill Bey and Mumi Abu Bey under the purview of Texas. William Barrett Ill under the purview of Virginia. Bomani Abidwil Ill, kidnapped by the Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia. Chere Bey, kidnapped under the purview of West Virginia. Thomas Lee Bey, kidnapped under the purview of California. Victor Eduardo Evaye Juarez Ill, kidnapped by Harlem Corporation under the purview of Georgia. And then last but not least, I have one last more. Twain Bey, kidnapped. Let's see, I'm not sure if I have the information of who. Oh, kidnapped by Harnett Corporation under the purview of North Carolina. So there we have Moors that have been kidnapped and are being held hostage by employees of various corporations on American soil, which is a violation of the American Constitution, and it is a treaty violation. And being that we are talking about Moorish Americans, Aboriginal indigenous to this land, who are being kidnapped by foreign employees of a foreign corporation on American soil, this makes this an international issue, because you have two nations with one nation warring against another. Therefore, this is an international issue. If you have a family member, near or far, within your immediate family, or one of the family that you know and you would like them added to this list, please send an email to MHHS-Eyes-Wide-Open@gmail.com. In the subject line, put kidnapped Moor, and please provide us with their free national appellation, the municipal corporation that the employee is operating through that kidnapped them, along with the union state that this corporation is in purview to. All righty. Thank you very much. Islam, and welcome to MHHS Eyes Wide Open. This is your host, Anna-Ida Ill, along with my co-host, Ms. Rahim Aleph Ill.
Peace and love, Anna-E. Peace and love, Moors, all Moors, clean Moors, dirty Moors, take a bath. Also remember, in your Circle 7, sins are washed by purity and life, chapter 4, number 18. Let's get it. Eyes wide open. All right?
That's right. And we have RVBey.
Islam, peace and love to everyone.
Peace and love, and as well, Cujo Adwa Il.
All right.
Peace and love to all the Moors.
Peace and love. Peace and love. Before we get started, we have to acknowledge the passing of one of our great elders, Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi passed on the 6th of August, and in memory of him, this show is going to be dedicated, as well as we would like to take a moment of silence in honor of him. So we're just going to, take a minute and just reflect on all the wonderful information and the wonderful work that Dr. Sebi brought on our behalf. So if everybody can just mute their phone, and we'll just take our minute. All right. Once again, we just took a moment just to reflect and remember Dr. Sebi, one of our great elders, who brought us just amazing information about how to heal ourselves and live a wholesome and healthy life. And we have to recognize and remember that just because Dr. Sebi has passed on, it does not mean that his work should be forgotten. They should not be. We ought to remember that this work is here. He left us a great body of work. And so we, as the recipients of that work, we need to not let it go forgotten, not let it be forgotten. All right? All right. Islam. So
one second.
Go ahead.
My hand. 1 second. Before we even go on top of what Mother just said with regard to Dr. Sebi, recognize how interesting it is that they didn't pull that, oh, look, a Moor got killed by the police when Dr. Sebi got killed.
Right.
Because he was a Moor, don't forget. Keep that in mind, everybody who's a Dr. Sebi fan out there, that he said on the record he's a Moor.
Mm-hmm.
So we just want to put that up there for the propagandists. Don't forget to throw Dr. Sebi under the bus. Because he's a Moor. Killed. Don't forget. Make sure, don't be pushing his videos and pushing his whatever and all that stuff and forget to mention that he's a Moor that got killed. I just want to put that on the record.
Islam, and not to take the attention off of that, but in the same wise, and just to follow up, these same clowns who try to blame other people for these Roman agendas of murdering people. It was the Romans who murdered Yeshua, etc. So, let's keep this really clear. And anybody saying that, it's somebody, a Moor's fault or RVBey's fault for the death of these people, you sick. And until y'all retract that, we can say in the same wise that if anything that Moors are doing is responsible for other people's death, opposed to realizing there's a war agenda on our people right now, then in that same wise, the MST will have to be held responsible for the death of Mansour Bey. It doesn't make any sense, right? Because nobody in the temple actually pulled the trigger. The policy enforcer shot him down. Likewise with the Sister Corinne Gaines, etc. Likewise with the fact of Dr. Sebi passing and the policy enforcers, dens and all of that. So just to follow up, you're not going to act like anything because the way he was living in deed, he was free. You know what I mean? He was doing what he was sent here to do. So I don't want to hog the floor up. Do kind of want to go in on this subject because people still talking crazy, but all due respect. You know what I mean? All due respect. So.
Well, I just want to say I like what you said. It brought a thought, something to think about, because I know there was this, oh my God, it's such a big frenzy of dissecting. And I know that there was a YouTube blog or whatever chat, and these leaders, most of these leaders,
and they're not leaders. They're not leaders.
They're just holding position. And
these are propaganda agents. My fault. I don't mean to cut your wisdom.
No, it's okay. It's all right.
But no, real fact though, because they're talking crazy. Let's be really clear, just real quick, and we're gonna get to this because it's all interrelated. For Dr. Sebi, right now, we all know he had the situation with the court case where he went in, he presented himself in an allodial fashion, dealing with philosophy, the love of wisdom, natural law, etc. He was dealing with that. Now, in one, he beat the situation. But now check this out. I don't think I'm qualified to tell his whole story. I really don't think I am. But for these people talking crazy in the temple, saying we don't deal with sovereignty and all of this. Keep in mind, there's a distinction between sovereign citizens and sovereignty. And anybody acting like Noble Drew Ali, specifically these I don't even know what to call them, these agents in the temple, you know, again, getting on YouTube, acting like they're representing Noble Drew Ali and don't know the teachings. One of the things I want to bring out is nobody can act like Noble Drew Ali did not teach about sovereignty. He did not teach us that we were sovereign citizens, but he did teach about sovereignty. And if you think I'm slacking, you can definitely check chapter 29 of your Circle 7, the magistrate and subject chapter, enumeration 1. All right, so let's make that really clear. Ain't nobody going to act like noble sovereignty was foreign to Noble Drew Ali. That's a misrepresentation, straight up. And if they try to say that, oh, it's because one man was being raised to the seat or the power of sovereignty, that's also a falsehood, because in that particular chapter, in those clauses, it says he was raised to sovereignty by thy equals, meaning they had to be sovereign too. So, you know what I mean? That's really what it is. So let's not get it twisted. Anybody, I don't care who they are, if they act like sovereignty is a curse word, they're not. Don't let them tell you that and say they represent Noble Drew Ali, because he left it in the lessons and the instructions. Now let's make this distinguishment very clear. There is a big difference between sovereignty, a sovereign, and a sovereign citizen. Sovereign citizen is the fiction. Sovereign is nothing wrong with that word on its own merit. It's nothing wrong with that word on its own merit. Is it kind of like what you want to call it, slander today? Absolutely. You know what I mean? But don't let nobody tell you they represent the MST of A, like sovereignty isn't a subject within those lessons. That's all I'm saying. Islam.
Well, Islam, and you know what? Before we get into it, because that's kind of sort of part of today's subject matter, so we got to definitely get into that. But before we get into today's call, the subject of this broadcast, we would like to just acknowledge that we've concluded, I think, 3 years now. We are going into 4 years.
Year 4.
4 years.
Wow.
We've concluded 3, and we are going into our 4th year of MHHS-Eyes Wide Open, Blog Talk Radio. We never thought that we would be doing this. We had no intentions of doing this. However, the universe had other plans for us. And absolutely, we could not have done this, of course, without the energy and the prompting/pushing of the universe. But more importantly, we could not have done this without the help and support of our family, who calls in every week and listens in via the internet every week, and also will subsequently listen to the broadcast. You know, if they don't catch it on the day of the broadcast, they might catch it at a later date, and they may even forward it to people to listen in, because it's an excellent teaching tool. So we want to definitely acknowledge and say thank you to all those listeners who have been listening, have come back every week and participate, because this is about uplifting fallen humanity, and we certainly couldn't do it without the information and the encouragement of our family. So we definitely send you big thanks and peace and love.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I definitely want to say I'm thankful to be here. I'm thankful to be a part of this. We have 3 years in strong, week in and week out, with very limited, misses of days as far as the MHHS Eyes Wide Open Blog Talk Tuesdays, Wednesdays, etc. But I just want to let you all know, Ana Ma, Cujo, I'm really thankful to be a part of this, you know what I mean? And going into the 4th year, this is like going into senior year of high school, like almost, if you will, or your last year of college. So, I mean, being on the other side of that almost as a teacher, you know what I mean? Like, I can guarantee we about to turn up even more with the information going into basically our senior year. So, acknowledgement to everybody who's been listening from day one, those who are catching up with the archives, those who are listening now, and will continue, and then, you know, catch up with the archives on their off time or their spare time, or even share this information. Shout out to everybody, you know what I mean? Also, I want to say big thanks to Najib Safar El, because he posts a lot of our bodies of work of our blog talks up on the YouTube, you know, for the YouTubers to just have easy access. So salute to him for getting it out. Cool Joe, everybody. I'm just, you know what I mean? Even though I never met the brother, I see you out there, and I think everybody who ever supported in any type of fashion, you know, and when I say that, I mean even if it was just listening and spreading the word, because we're giving it to you. And we give you so many references. Like, we have basically a perpetual audio university. So everything from Tuesdays, the Sisters Standing on Law, to the Sons of Allah, you know, I'm just thankful to be a part in some way of the great work and the great information, the great teachings that we are all exhibiting. So all of those who have ears to hear, you know what I mean? And that's really what it is. So peace and love. I love y'all, and I sincerely mean that. And I'm thankful again to be a part of this. Salam.
Islam. All right. Well,
but I think Pooja was saying something, or did I hear wrong? I don't know.
I'll sprinkle my little stage on it as well, and just so that it's really about the people recognizing what it is this is about. You know what I mean? And this is not about supporting people who are against what Noble Drew Ali told Moors to do in order for us to save ourselves. And one of the most important things that Noble Drew Ali said was for us to present our own work. Yeah, that we're supposed to be doing our own broadcasting. So look at the landscape of information that's being presented, and keep in mind that the presenters that you are listening to on this platform, you raised us to sovereign power. You people out there are the ones that raised us to this level where we're at right now, that it's going on a fourth year of not changing the message. Same thing for 4 years, just different ways of saying it, the same stuff, not deviating from the path. So honors to everybody who supported. You know what I mean? Forget us, because it ain't about us without y'all.
This is
you know what I mean? So honors to yourself, like supreme honors to yourselves for dialing this number, for punching this in the internet, whatever, and elevating yourself to Allah in the being. Islam.
Islam. And I would say, this is so weird because it just so happens that, saying thank you for the support, we just happened to just complete 3 years, and I've always thanked you before, and need to say thanks for all the supporters on it. And at the same time, conversely, there's this other sabotage going against the work we do, coming from institutions that are supposed to be about the work we do regarding our Moorish heritage and history, and the publications on which really is the staple RVBey publications. And as we mentioned earlier, and we really didn't want to belabor. We didn't continue to do what we're doing. It just so happens at times to say thank you for reaching these levels. It just so happens that as well, people are on the internet and on the Facebook and on posting stuff, supporting what we do against those who actually tried to put blood on our hands for the sister who passed just because she mentioned the word delegation of authority, of which delegation of authority starts from home and is a party to and a part of, and the whole point of why people are doing what they're doing to you in the name of saying they are an authority when we know they are not, and it has been proven, and many out there also know that. But the main thing was the recent last week, last Wednesday or whatever it was, when someone said that, that was on our hands. So I wanted people to think about how ridiculous that is, in that all of these people are being exposed in this electrifying age of information as to being murdered in cold blood by those people who had no delegation of authority to do so, by those people who call themselves police, doing law enforcement, and we find that they're not that at all, that they are protecting corporations, employees for corporations, in fact. And so they have been doing these things off of our virtues and our ignorances at the same time. And right, it's a very unique and special thing. But imagine this for a second. I have heard that just if it's true, whatever, RVBey publication, and, I guess the blog as well, is one of the top places to get information so that you can show yourself approved, right, and take your place amongst the affairs of men. Well, if it really is a national website and it is at one of the top, if anyone else is out there doing Moorish work to uplift and dealing with our history and heritage, if they're doing their work, they would be like, yeah, that's great. But if they're out there putting down that very same energy and fact, it's so obvious that their agenda is absolutely not the same agenda. Like, we don't need to accuse them of that. They just showed it themselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? They just showed themselves that by even making such statements. And so you, the listening and analyzing person, would have to use your own intellect and figure these things out on your own. Also, there's also a false.
Pardon me, you sound a little muffled. I don't know if it's my phone or it's you, but it sounds a little muffled.
It might be me. There's also a false belief or false statement that we are against the temple, and I want to clear that up. That is just not true at all. But if you who are listening and who say these things, you're only saying it because someone told you, and you will not know until you yourself study the prophet's work yourself. That's the only way you're going to be able to tell who is for and who is not for it. Not that it matters and that we're in that, but that for you to say that and you haven't studied jack about what really is, you're only listening to what someone else says. And you, upon your study, you will figure it all out yourself. And so we wanted to thank those who were posting contrary to the negative assertion. Islam.
Indeed.
All right. Well, you know what? Let me just make sure I do my shout out, because we have Moors listening all the way from Great Britain. Got to give them a shout out. We got Moors over in Japan, South Africa, the Netherlands, Brother Albert Islam out there to you, sending, greetings out there to you. We got Moors listening over in the Philippines. And let's see, where else? Mexico, Venezuela, Cuba,
Trinidad,
Trinidad, Barbados, Puerto Rico, Jamaica,
United Kingdom too.
And you know what? And so many more that we have yet to connect with that are listening. Big shout out for listening in, supporting, uplifting, you know, because this is all about uplifting fallen humanity. And a lot of times we get into this and we forget that the uplifting can only first begin with you. So, you know, as we all participate in uplifting fallen humanity, we start with ourselves, and it is actually that energy that helps other people lift themselves up. So if we're working on ourselves, that energy is going to touch people as we go about our day-to-day activities, and it will help them to lift themselves up. And that is how you uplift fallen humanity. All right. So, you know, today's broadcast is entitled Shoveling Out from Under the Avalanche of Lies. You know, as we move forward in our evolution, lies will be told of us by modern Europeans, as well as some of our own wearing turbans and fezzes. It is for this reason we must, capital MUST, study, in order to see what is coming. The order of the day is study and nationality. The two go together, and you can't separate it. Study and nationality go together like divine and national go together. They cannot be separated. And you know, sometimes we get going and we forget the basic lessons that we were taught in elementary school, such as what is the significance of and or. The prophet says this is a divine and national movement. That means that they can't be separated. He didn't say this is divine or national. He said divine and national, because they cannot be separated. He said study. That, I mean, to me, when you repeat something more than once, that's like a quiet way of saying, listen now, this is important. So what is it that is important? So I'm telling you, the climate of today is so interesting. We're looking at a lot of our family that across the nation, around the world, is being murdered. Literally being murdered right under our nose. What does that mean for us? It means you better be studying. That's what it means. It don't mean you need to find some cool trick that somebody used yesterday and now they're promoting it today and they're selling it. They're not just promoting it, they're selling it because we don't want to study. This nationality thing, this divine and national movement, it is an amazing thing. It is so amazing. And you know what? When we don't study and study it all the time, it's like we're saying that we don't appreciate the things that our ancestors brought us and left for us, because this is not a trivial thing. And you know, it's so not a trivial thing. It's something that must be taken so seriously because of the enormity of it all. So when we hear people throwing around this word sovereignty, I don't care if it's modern Europeans or supposedly conscious Moors or unconscious Moors. I don't care who it is that's throwing it around. From our studies, we ought to know that when you hear that word sovereignty, it's basically asking, how are you tied to the land? What is your national standing? That's why it's so ridiculous when these non-Europeans try, they kidnap you and they talk about, oh, you're a sovereign citizen. Well, I am sovereign, but you're going to have to explain and qualify exactly what you mean by a citizen, because I don't know of any sovereign land. I don't know of any sovereign nation. I know how sovereignty is used, but I don't know it to be a landmass or a nationality of an ancient people. So what does that mean? And what is it you're implying? That's number one. We have to study so that we don't have people, some of them wearing turbans and fezzes, that will put us back into slavery. Whether they are aware of it or not matters not, because the end result is the same. You end up back in slavery. There's people running around with all of these processes. They're running. It's like they're dogs chasing their tail. When the prophet said this is a divine and national movement, what does that mean? I never read anything where the prophet was doing anything that it remotely looked like a dog chasing his tail. Never did anything like that. Why is it that we got people running around talking about, I'm a proclaimed Moor, but you're chasing your tail, meaning your actions appear to be that of a dog chasing its tail. Then you got Moors out here, they're proclaiming their nationality, and they're not even clear on what that nationality is, what it means, what it brings to the table. You have to be clear, meaning you have to declare your nationality before you can claim it out there in the public. Because you're going to get challenged. This linking back to your bloodline, to your ancestors, this is a big thing. It's a big thing to people who have no bloodline and ancestors to link back to. So don't take it for granted. Study all the time. And lastly, a very wise brother brought this to my attention. You know, this is why I do it. The 101. It's what? 8 pages, front and back cover. 8 pages, right? 8 pages. Have we really studied it? No, I haven't. I'm at fault. I'm guilty. I read it. When I first got this information, I read it. And I read it maybe 2 or 3 times. And I need to read it every day, and I will be. But this amazing brother, amazing son, brought this to my attention. Because people are confused. It's right in the 101. Number 14. Why are we Moorish Americans? Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America. Why are we Moorish Americans? Because we are descendants of Moroccans born in America, which really is sort of kind of like an oxymoron, because of Morocco and America is the same place. So what is he saying? What is he saying? Then you go to number 31. What is the modern name for the Moabites? Moroccans. This is deep. He's giving you deep lessons in an 8-page booklet, not including the front and the back cover. How many of us got that lesson right there? Right there, these people are like, oh, you're a sovereign citizen. No, I'm a Moorish American because I'm a descendant. I am a descendant of Moroccans born in America. And why are we calling ourselves Moors? Because the modern name for the Moabite is Moroccans. And our political jurisdiction is Moorish American. 34, what is the title given to our ruler in Morocco? The Sultan. Go to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Who drafted up and authored that document? The Sultan of Morocco. See, we really need to, we try to get super savvy. We try to get super savvy when we really need to keep it simple, stupid. Because this 8-page booklet is going to be the lifesaver if you study it and study it well. And you need to study it in conjunction with the Quran. You need to also study it in conjunction with the Moorish Guide. You need to also study it in conjunction with the Zodiac Constitution. These are all booklets that is trying to tell you something. If you will just study and study well, and then study some more, this is it. You will not be like a dog chasing your tail if you do the appropriate studying. And I'll tell you this, and then I'll end with this. If you're really studying, and studying, all of these people that's out there, like slime crawling from under a rock, throwing stones, trying to slander the Moors, the Moorish information, even some of our own. You would not have time for these people because you would have studied well and you would see them for who they really are. Your salvation is going to be this divine and national movement, which links you back to the family by nationality. And if you don't take the time to wholly embrace and be absolutely clear what that means, any Tom, Dick, and Harry, Sally, Jane, and Sue will come along and remove it from you simply for lack of knowledge. So you better study. Islam?
Islam.
And along with it being a divine and national movement, keep in mind that the order is also important. So don't get caught up with national and divine movements and stuff like that, because there's people who even push that as a perspective, taking things out of order. But because what Noble Drew Ali set up was an order of operations, a formula to get us out of mental slavery. And a mental slave is one who does not know. So when you have a questionnaire, that's some pages, and then you check all these other groups, they got questionnaire. Same idea, same perspective, but they're not saying that they're Moors. That's a big problem, because they should be saying that they're Moors, regardless of what school or thought they gravitate towards. And by taking themselves out of the status of what is established before Noble Drew Ali, because if he's telling us that we're descendants of Moroccans born in America, he had to get that information from somewhere. That's not some holy angel whispered in his ear to let him know that. When he says that the first divine name of Africa is Amexem, he got that from somewhere. Like, think about all the things that he referenced in the 101 questionnaire, and how much things today, when you research those things, you're getting a distorted meaning. Which is why people are going to come with their Moors, and Moors got stuff from Turks and all this stuff, because they don't have the full, they're not grasping really where Noble Drew Ali was going. Because their timeline is off.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Like when we say Moroccan and everybody says North Africa. You ever mention no North Africa or anything like that? Why is your mind even going there? Because your timeline's off. When they say Moors and then everybody says Spain, your timeline's off. Moors weren't only in Spain only. Moors are worldwide.
Right.
So the jurisdiction that Noble Drew Ali is connecting us to is worldwide. It's not just some building with a sign that says Moor Science Temple.
Who reject Moors trying to come in.
Right? Because the nation is really outside the temple, really.
Right.
The nation's really exterior to the temple. The temple's supposed to be there for Negro, black, colored people to go there and find out about their nationality. Then it spits them out into the world. Go be a Moorish American Muslim. And then they're supposed to go out and tell people, hey, go check that spot called Moor Science Temple. And then those people come in and then they get spit out. Go be what you were born to be. Because everybody has a purpose. But don't think that you're fulfilling some purpose if you don't have a nationality. And Noble Drew Ali made it clear, especially to Moors, that don't think because you're good Moors, you're not going to get your ass burned too. Because everybody's going to get their little bit of scorching. Because, just like Anita said, everybody's a little bit guilty. Everybody didn't really digest completely what Noble Drew Ali brought. But luckily some more than others, so we had reference points of where we're supposed to go. Like those 2 questions in the questionnaire. That people are going to actually think that they have to go to the Moor Science Temple to be a Moor. When Drew Ali is telling you that you're Moorish American because you're a descendant of Moroccan, not because you came from some temple or some temple gave you a card, makes you Moorish American.
Word.
You're a descendant of Moroccans. Moroccans who've been here before Noble Drew Ali, before Sultan and all that. Sultan over here before Moors, or have jurisdiction here before Moors. Which again, when he goes on further and talks about, our connection to Mecca and Saudi Arabia and all that, that people are saying isn't our stuff. That's some pale Arab stuff.
And because they timeline off, Cool Joe, like you said.
Right? Timeline way off. But that's where the studying comes in. Because it'll keep you on the right track. Because you'll know for yourself what the timeline is. And again, the reoccurring theme that you won't get played once you know. If you know a guy has a cork bat, you're pitching to his wrist every time. What are you talking about down the plate? You're trying to bean him every time if his bat is corked. and then going into the fact of not only study, but also on top of study, think and save yourself. Which people are even, these individuals putting out this propaganda are even forcing people to not think for themselves. Forget not proclaim their nationality. They're not even thinking for themselves. They're thinking based on a incepted thought by somebody else about what this is. That's what they're going on.
Mm-hmm.
Just remember Inception. Just remember the movie Inception.
Exactly.
Right? People putting thoughts in other people's head to get them to go in the wrong direction because those people don't study.
Good point. And that is true. I just wanted to interject. You're right. Those things, you could just say that again. It's only for those who do not study that those thoughts are going into, and they are, receiving them. Yep, you're right.
Absolutely. Because, for those who are trying to plant that particular thought, not for nothing, I'm going to give you a reference with this so that you can go check it out for yourself. I'm not trying to tell you something that's far-fetched, but studying law, right? So you got people who say, Corinne Gaines was wrong for asking for a delegation of authority order. When, if you know law, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that question at all. It's really not. But for those who are ignorant or specifically just have an agenda to keep you away, because remind you, they're trying to work with the democracy. Like, they're not just on some, she's wilding. Like, they want to be accepted by the democracy, which is unconstitutional. So the main thing is enforcing the Constitution. Like, it's been said nobody's anti-government, but there's a Constitution which, the today's quote-unquote said government, as far as a democracy, though it's not valid, but that's what they say. The president of that particular corporation claims to be a Democrat, but they're saying we're supposed to conform when that's unconstitutional. So essentially when they're saying, comply with the Democrats, accept the democratic policies and ways of living and, duties imposed or obligations imposed, they already been, don't let them tell you nothing else about law. And it has nothing to do with being anti-government, but there is a lawful Republican form of government that's supposed to be in play. So the point is, when you see anybody talking to democracy, you have to keep in mind, that it's unconstitutional. And that's against the law. Nobody else, the people who are claiming that, they're outlaws because they're already outside of the Constitution when the democracy is absolutely opposed to the Constitution of the Republican form of government, Article 4, Section 4. El Haj Malik even told you that in America, democracy is hypocrisy. So, but anyway, so when the sister was asking for the delegation of authority order or whatnot, keep this in mind too, that there's a difference between an American citizen and a United States citizen. There is a very big difference. You know what I mean? Acknowledgement to Canaan land because that's still America or Al Morocco or Morocco, however you want to look at it, however you want to say it. These are still the same territory. But these people sick in the head think there's a lawful division of the land when it's really not. But anyway, so, you know what I mean, going back. And, I can't believe I was watching some of the clips. These same people who are stepping out talking crazy about Corinne Gaines and all of this, Like, they think the 14th Amendment is valid. I was like, yo, these people are really lost, like super lost. But anyway, John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law. This is an excerpt from number 210 on page 51. It says, to protect the personal liberty, which includes your right to travel, of the citizen from unlawful arrest, it is the law that no one can be imprisoned for an alleged crime. Remind you, the case laws are already out. Traffic tickets, traffic violations are not crime. Shit, even a DWI is not considered a crime, to whereas they'll recognize a jury trial. I mean, in certain jurisdictions. They don't recognize DWI as a crime on its own merit, but they can still, or not they can still, they will still try to penalize or strip your freedom from it. So you got to really look at these words. So, all right, to protect the personal liberty of the citizen from unlawful arrest, it is the law that no person can be imprisoned for an alleged crime unless upon oath of some competent witness. And then there's a case law, Connor versus Commonwealth. And then, of course, to see the 4th and 5th Amendment with that. And it goes on to say, and a warrant of commitment must be in writing under the hand of a competent magistrate. Now, we could challenge the word magistrate, but again, go back to your chapter 29 of the Circle 7. Number 1, magistrate and subject. All right, these are key words. Noble Drew didn't put these lessons or tailor these lessons for Moors for no reason. So keep this in mind. So it must be, in the warrant of commitment, must be in writing under the hand of a competent magistrate, meaning they can't just say you have a warrant. It has to be in writing. It says it must express the cause of commitment and show by what authority, emphasis on that word, by what authority the prisoner is committed. And again, that's just a reference from John Bouvier's Institutes of American Law, excerpt from number 210, 51. So when the sister was asking for a delegation of authority, they have to have that. They have to show by what authority they're operating on. Who sanctioned them? How is it that they can claim to operate a democracy and then still claim authority constitutionally? It's invalid. But see, these dudes or these people or some people want to work with the demon crafters. And I'm not just calling them that. Why? Because they told us that they was demon crafters by telling us they was a democracy. So there you go with your chapter 3, lower self, higher self, the demons, all of these things, the angels, the messengers. You got it all enveloped in our face right here today. So to conform with that, now, because the only ones who need to conform with the law, really, in as far as all of these situations that have been trying to be used as an example to slander, RVBey, to slander master teachers, to slander anybody, they're really not valid. These all go back to low selves activities of the democracy or the demon crafters. And they told you that. So you can't blame anybody for that. Now, again, I just want to add something else on from page 613, enumeration 2277 of the Bouvier's Institutes of American Law. It says an unlawful imprisonment, and this is just an excerpt. It says an unlawful imprisonment means any intentional detention of the person of another not authorized by law. So there you go, back to that correlation of authority, authorized, going back to, the warrant. It must show by what authority the prisoner is committed, et cetera, et cetera. So authority is a very key question whenever you're dealing with people outside of your nation. You know what I mean? And when I say that, I mean like who don't have the same nationality as you. Just because somebody was born on the same continent you were born does not make them the same nationality as you. So here we go. We got Europeans. Everybody know their story. It came over 1492, that's after, and then, you know, you got other aspects where they were grafted in South America. But either way, they're not Aboriginal indigenous. So international law is always on the table. People, and I'm not telling nobody what they have to do, what they should do. All I'm saying is this sister was not necessarily in the wrong for going through her life sojourn the way she was doing it. You know what I mean? And her choices to live free or die, I mean, because even the Europeans, what quasi-national domicile is that? It's either Maine or Vermont. I mean, that's their motto: live free or die. Like that's the motto that's on the license plates. You feel what I'm saying? Like, live free or die. That's it. It ain't nothing in between. You know what I mean? And some people really take that to heart. She's not the only one. Don't get that twisted. Like, she's not. A lot of Moors spill blood for those very same causes. You have different wars.
Yeah, but we
like
don't want to get it twisted that that there was any intent for her or alter her back. We don't really want to go back to
No. I'm not. I'm definitely. Let me make this clear. All right. Let me make a few things clear, and I'm gonna give the floor, because if anything I'm saying is cast in doubt, I will stop. All I'm saying is that she already had her mind made up from the evidence that if they tried to touch her, that they were going to have to kill her. You get what I'm saying? Like, that was her motto, that she was going to live free or she was going to die. I'm not saying that. That's what the evidence says. That's what she said. That's what the video says. So my thing is, I don't think she had a death wish. She wasn't going to live no other way than free. That's where she was at. That, to me, I could be wrong. If I'm speculating, pardon me. But I'm just saying off the evidence. You understand what I'm saying? Like, she wasn't settling for less for no reason. You know what I mean? And don't get it twisted. A lot of sisters is feeling like that. Beyonce told y'all she wouldn't let her freedom rot in hell. So, I mean, like, you know that's what the sisters right. There's so many different things, so many different levels to, you know, somebody's concept of freedom, if you will. But all I'm saying is, I'm not trying to make no mockery. I'm not trying to do none of that. All I'm saying is that, yo, that's a powerful demonstration. If I'm wrong, pardon me. I'm not suggesting that anybody should adopt a mentality they don't feel fit for them. But I'm saying that there is people who's on that level. It's just is what it is. And everybody's not the same, I guess we could say. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, that's so yeah. That I yield the floor, you know. Islam.
You know, I want to just say something, you know, because, and I can't say it enough, you know, I love that American Constitution, 1791. That thing is incredible. You know,
yes.
And not enough people. Look, I'm going to tell you, I think I got an email or a text or something. I don't remember where it came from or what it was. But apparently, Donald Trump must have said something about the American Constitution, 1791, and it was reported by Amazon that they had an enormous amount of people come to Amazon.com and order the Constitution.
Wow.
It was such a large number of people that I think it might have been some, like, you know, internet news posting. I don't know what Donald Trump said. The only thing that I do recall is that as a result of whatever he said about the Constitution, a huge number of people went and bought themselves a copy of that incredible document. Now,
wow.
Most of Donald Trump's followers are modern Europeans. What's interesting to me is that these modern Europeans went and bought the Constitution, because their leader guy told them to. We've been telling them we're not professional to be nobody's leader guy.
That's
but
right.
our ancestors wrote this document, and we don't even go and order it in large numbers like that.
Right.
You know? And we don't study it like we ought to, because if we were studying that document, in order to study that document, you got to go back to the climate that you know, because of what was going on and why that document was written. Now, if you really comprehend that American Constitution, 1791, you would know that all power is delegated.
That's right.
Oh, but let's back up. The reason this document was drafted, because, see, we had the principles of the American Constitution going on this continent before the modern Europeans arrived. That document is our law, the law of the great peace, all right? So you've got to understand that document, it ain't giving nobody power unless you give it to them. And we got numerous case law that says all the power is in the people. All of it. And any powers that these people call them trustees. I don't like to call them trustees. But any power that these public servants have, the only way they could get it is through the people delegating it to them. Now, one of the major reasons that that document was written specifically for the modern Europeans is because if this document and this government does not represent you, it is not your government. That's why they had this big to-do about what is it called? Taxation without representation. It wasn't just limited to taxation. It was across the board. Things was going on that these people were being held to, but did not represent them at all. You know, it really annoys me when people really don't understand that document, the climate, and how it all relates together. They want to run around talking about we are part and parcel, or we are part and partial. It doesn't, you know, whether it's partial or partial, we are part of this mix. You can't separate us out, because you got to understand, foreigners came to our home. We didn't go to some foreigner's home. Foreigners came to our home. All right? So now because of that, rules of engagement had to be established. This is our home. We got the home rule advantage. And then you got these people talking about their government structure is home rule. But you're not home. This is not your home. I don't care if you've been here for 500 years. This is still not your home. So when you say that you got some home rule advantage, you must be talking about you got home ruling, meaning you're following the policies and procedures of the mother company over in Great Britain on foreign land. So it applies to whomever is employees in your municipal corporation. So let's get back to this Constitution, which is, you know, it's most annoying that many people don't get. I know it's from lack of study, because you got to get deep into that document. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, he referenced this document and the previous contract on several occasions. What does it mean? How does it all tie together? When somebody comes out and says, what was she asking for delegation of authority for? that was not the place to be asking. Or they say somebody filling her head with this foolishness, and that's why she got killed. You just let me know that you don't know jack shit about this land. You don't know jack shit about the principles of this land, which the American Constitution is based on. You don't know jack shit about your ancestors if you are of Asiatic or descent. You don't know law. You're just throwing stones. Because you got to know that document. It says that all power must be delegated. But all of that delegating, it's got nothing to do with the Asiatic. Because the state and everything that comprises the states was established for modern Europeans. And this is why the original 13th Amendment, with the 20 sections, section, what is it, 12? 20. Section 20 says that those of African descent cannot be members of the Union State. So now, if we can't be members of the Union State, at what point will we be delegating any authority to a foreigner operating as a contractor for the state or directly working for the state? There would be zero delegating of anything by the Asiatic people of this land to a foreigner. That is not what the compact set up. So yes, the sister was well within her right to ask for a delegation of authority because she didn't delegate anything relating to herself or her family to a foreigner. But you will never get that if you don't understand how this thing works. It's like I have finances. I may not want to go through the tedious process of counting the adding or the subtracting. So I will delegate it to an accountant. And I will write out exactly what he can do and what he cannot do and what I expect of him in the event that something goes left. That's called delegation of authority. That sister and anybody else is well within their rights. Now, am I saying you should go and ask for it? I'm not saying that. I would not say that. Not right now, the way this climate is. Because some of the most unlearned people are policed under the municipal corporation. And that is by design. They intentionally don't tell them because they have been hired to take the hit. And they don't even know it. So I'm not mad at them to a degree because everybody, if you're in a position, you ought to know the full ramifications of that position, whether somebody told you or not. That's just, to me, that's like an obligation. But we, as a people, we got to stop all of this foolishness and blaming everybody because somebody didn't take the time to do the appropriate studying. We've got to do better than just blaming. We got to do better than just blaming because that's not the answer. All right? We can't let people get murdered, and the only thing we can do is point fingers at, oh, she did this because of so-and-so. Don't let their death be in vain. Learn something from it because they agreed to that. We may not like it, but they agreed to that. And the only reason they would have agreed to that is to shock us lazy-ass Moors into waking up. That is a noble undertaking. So let's not let these people's death be in vain. Their death, their murder, it was designed to shock us.
because we are so sleepy-headed more.
Right.
So let us take whatever the information is out there. Let's stop being a family divided and let us unite so that we can throw the yoke of these foreigners off of us. Islam?
Islam, for sure. Definitely, I'm with you on that one. Definitely with you on that. And again, when you know, they say when you point your finger at somebody, there's 3 pointing back at yourself. So, you know, we can imagine the triple blame that these people have on themselves because, you know what I mean, we could go in and shred them with words, you know what I mean? But, yeah, I see it more or less as, you know, these people just not ready for the times we in right now. That's just what it is. They're not ready. They can talk all they want, but it's getting to the point where if you're talking without substance, what you're saying is irrelevant anyway. So we in that day and age where it has to be definitely solution oriented. It has to be, you know, something that can enhance or people can work with mentally and make that manifest into fruition on the physical or, you know, for their affairs, you know, different references, different enlightenment. But, you know, the blame game, 2016, Gregorian modified calendar, shall I say? Come on, fam. Y'all need to cut it out. You need to cut it out because all it's showing is that you're not ready to do nothing. You know, you have no real understanding of the times we're in right now. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. But, excuse me, I just wanted to add this on, and I'm going to yield the floor with this. In the future, we're going to do a documentary called Atlantic City Naked. And I'm saying that because you mentioned Trump earlier, and a while ago you sent me a clip of Trump, you know, saying, hey, I wish I was Asiatic. He used the word black, but speaking of Asiatics, essentially, though we're not black. You remember that link you sent me, right, on the E?
Yes, I do. I downloaded that. I want that for posterity.
That's for posterity. And this needs to be remembered for posterity, too. All right, so we got Donald Trump, right? What is he? He's the Democrat who's claiming to be a Republican. That's who he is, really, right? But don't ever think he doesn't know Moorish history. You was mentioning the fact that our ancestors wrote the Constitution. He mentioned the Constitution, and a bunch of people flocked towards it, towards obtaining a Constitution, which, you know, is a good thing. People need to know that. I don't know exactly what he said, but if somebody has their head in the Constitution, that's a good thing. They need to know the amendments that are not valid, but, you know, starting from the beginning to end, it could be some substantive information to help protect your life. But what I want to say just briefly is that don't ever think Donald Trump does not know about Moors or Moorish history. What you have, the Absegami Island, which they call Atlantic City, which is on that particular island, he had a building called Trump Taj Mahal. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Trump Taj Mahal. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Taj Mahal. You know that was a Moorish building in the East. So he always been mocking Moorish science, Moorish history, and it looks something like a Moorish palace. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, for him to even name it that from the beginning, Trump Taj Mahal, and trust me, Atlantic City is a microcosm of everything that's going on in North America right now. Real facts. And he had that building, Trump Taj Mahal. So for him to even mockery the Taj Mahal lets you know, if you know your Moorish history, you know he knows about Moorish history. That's why even a while ago, Cool Joe, you sent me a link, and somebody asked him about the rights of indigenous people, and he kind of just stiffed on that to the side. You know what I mean? It ain't that he don't know. It's just it is what it is. So don't ever think these people do not know who Moors are,
right.
You know what I mean, what our sovereign rights are. So, I mean, our national rights, to be more specific, and stay out the realm of sovereign citizenship, because that's a fiction. But again, the word sovereignty on its own merit is hand in hand with nationality. So don't think he doesn't know about Moors or Al-Moroccans or Americans' nationality. He knows, you know what I mean? Or otherwise, there wouldn't be no such thing as a quote-unquote Trump Taj Mahal. Just wanted to put that out there for the record. You know what I mean? These people know who Moors are. Islam, with that, I yield the floor.
All right. Well, we got 40 minutes left to the live internet feed, and that means at 11:30, the internet feed is going to go down, but we'll have an hour left of broadcast. So, for the past, 2 broadcasts, we really wasn't able to take as many callers. So what I'd like to do is start now taking callers, answering questions, or, hearing what the people have to say. So if you have a question, a comment, or a concern, and you would like to address it, please press 1 on your telephone dial, and we will take the callers in the order we receive them. Once you complete your call and you hear that you have once again been muted, press 1 so you can be taken out of the call queue. So our first caller 678-768, you're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Accent.
Islam. This is Rashad L. Again, the Moorish American National Appropriate Persona, Juris, and the juror, free white person, calling the Northwest of Mexico. I want to just say this has been a great broadcast. I've been listening from the beginning up until this point. Much love and Islamism to everybody that's on the show tonight. Real quick and briefly, I just want to comment on the delegate authority order coming made about the young Moorish woman that was assassinated, being that she is a national diplomat. But I know what you mean about the climate. It's like knowing something opposed to them not knowing, even though she was right. Just how a lot of these policy enforcers are nowadays. They sincerely don't know, even though they should know, but they don't know, and they'll take it to another level as if you're just trying to give them a hard time, or they try to categorize us in the same bunch of, oh, this is another sovereign citizen, just like with the incident I had a couple of weeks ago when I was kidnapped. And it's unfortunate, of course, that it happened, but I agree that she wasn't wrong for asking that, but just the climate of how things are now, especially with so many people waking up and nationalizing, it's like it could have been done. It's just a certain way it should be. Well, I'll just say this to better articulate my point, that she did right, but it's just that the people who assassinated her, of course, were not in the right because they didn't know the law that they're supposed to be enforcing. It's like you call yourself law enforcers, but how can you enforce something that you don't even know, to the extent of the person that put you in that position of power knows more than what you know? So I want to just voice my opinion on that. And one thing I want to also mention that's been very complexing to me and has always been on my mind in regards to the oral statements of Noble Drew Ali. There are quite a few things that I read, but it's one thing specifically that I was kind of curious about, and I want to know if anybody had an answer to, if there is an answer to this particular statement. But there was one statement by Noble Drew Ali in the Oral Statements and Prophecies number 155, where basically he told Brother G. Cook to go get 10 other people, and he would tell them about a star that was in the sky, but he couldn't find 10 people to bring back. So Noble Drew Ali just replied back to him, if I could tell you some things that would turn your brain to water. But in regards to that star, was it ever mentioned? What was the origins of that star that Noble Drew Ali or Brother G. Cook saw in the sky?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
Because the reference was more going back to study.
because you have the thought of Allah manifested in flesh, the love thought of Allah. So the messages are coming directly from Allah. So if He's to give you everything, it probably would turn your brain to water because you wouldn't be able to digest everything that embodies Him, because it's Allah.
Right. Right, and since I was taking it as a literal statement, I thought he was saying like it's so metaphysical or I guess profound that if I was to tell you, you would just go on a daze or something. I don't know.
Right.
And
right, but
yeah.
And again, too, remember that in the 101 questionnaire, the back of the 101 questionnaire, with the additional laws, that you're supposed to use your own five senses. So you're supposed to come to your conclusion, which again leads back to the thing that it's your birthright. So, it's going to be how you see it.
Right.
Once you're living with the principles, then you shouldn't have any issues with getting what Noble Drew Ali said or you know what I mean? Nothing should be confusing because it's really your mentality.
Indeed. I think that was one last. This really is the last thing right here. Was there ever any record of Noble Drew Ali's voice being recorded on anything like this? Anyone know how Noble Drew Ali actually sounded like that? Because I know there's record of him in the newspapers in Chicago, even when he came to Atlanta when Garvey was in jail. But is there any evidence or record of his actual voice? Just like how did he sound like? If anybody has, I mean, just out of curiosity, just him being such a great leader who brought back our nationality. I was just curious about that one night when I was studying. Like, I wonder how he sounded like. What was his voice like?
Well, he did say that. He did say that the devil can't steal his appearance. So if you dream about him, it's him for real.
Mm-hmm.
So if you dream about him and he talks, that's probably how he sounded.
Right, in the on the soul plane. All right.
If
that's it.
He talks.
Well, yeah, if he talks. That's true. If he talks. All right, y'all. I appreciate it, Brother Cujo, Nita L, Ross Mariah, and Mesmerim. If I said it right this time, I know I slipped up last week with your appellation.
You said it right every other time, bro. Ms. Rain.
Miss Rain. Miss Rain, excuse me. I'm sorry about that. All right, y'all. Much love, peace, Islam, shalom. I yield the floor with that.
Peace.
Peace.
All right.
Islam. Peace, man. I need you there.
Can you hear me?
I think I need this talking muted right now.
Islam, can you hear me?
Oh, Islam, I'm sorry. I'm talking and I was muted. Islam, calling 443-418. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam family, Islam, my beloved adept student Moabite family. I am Hassan RVBey at Northwest Maxim. How are you, family?
Fine, thank you.
All is well.
Indeed. I was just listening to the broadcast and just wanted to just give my love energy. That was all. I really didn't have much to say except, family, thank you so much again for a wonderful and amazing broadcast. You guys have a delightful evening. Islam, peace and love.
All right, Moor.
All right. Well, all right, caller 313-350. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam family, this is Batal Bey from Northwest Maxim.
Islam,
Peace,
family. Islam. Yeah, I just want to continue in that spirit of gratitude and thanks to you all. What an amazing broadcast it always is. Man, I just I get so filled up when I can hear the family and being together. I did want to share one thing. Just this past week, it's a small victory, but it nonetheless a victory. Obviously, I've been calling in the last couple of weeks and just coming into the information and studying. As Mother Anna Eve always instructs us, Mother Roz instructs us. So I've been really trying to demonstrate. And so with I talked about my children the last time I was on, my daughter, that's just becoming a great mother, and my son is really, I believe he's going to be a great son one day, and he already is. But I had an issue where I was traveling, and policy enforcer pulled me over and tried to issue a citation. It was a construction area. And in the area, there were signs posted all over, and the signs, definitely directed the traffic flow. And I did not abridge any law, one, by traveling, and then two, I didn't even abridge the so-called statutes that they were going by. But yet and still, the policy enforcer pulled me over and tried to issue me a citation. So they pull up, my kids are in the car, and it's like, Dad, what's going on? Is everything okay? I say, yeah, everything is absolutely fine. We have done nothing wrong. We weren't speeding or anything like that, and, while we're traveling. And so the policy enforcer comes up. He was, melanated, Asiatic, and then he had his, I could tell it was her superior that was right behind him, and he was a modern European. And they just came up with this whole attitude, and and no matter what, you're gonna get this ticket today. You're gonna get this citation today. So they got the wrong Moor. I got to tell you that. They had the wrong Moor. So I rolled down my window, license and registration. I said, sir, and I'm still waiting on my my allodial identifications and my right to travel card. So at the time, this is maybe about a little bit over a month or so ago, I had not even sent in my judicial proclamation, so I had not yet received my sealed documents back. So I still have my so-called driver's license, and so I handed them my driver's license at the time because I want to be respectful, and I understand the law, but I'm going to adhere to where we are, where I am, and I can stand where I was. So I gave him, the license and the registration and such, and I asked him, I said, well, sir, with all due respect, why are you pulling me over? He says, well, you made a right turn, and there's signs posted all over the place, no turn. I said, well, sir, you can clearly see those signs are in the middle of the island, for travelers that are making a left turn, improperly, or a possible right turn in the middle of, onto oncoming traffic. He says, well, I understand. It could be, kind of confusing with all this construction around. We're just going to give you this citation, and you know what? Just take it to court, and make a court date. They're going to reduce it to an impeding traffic, and you won't get any points or anything like that. And I said, sir, are you kidding me? I said, I have not done anything wrong, and you're telling me you're about to issue me a citation for improper turn? He said, oh, I understand what you're trying to say. Just take it to court. I said, I was about to say something else, but my kids was in the car. I said, you darn right I'm going to take this to court. I said, because I haven't done anything wrong, and you're trying to injure me. You're just trying to get money from me. And I'm glad that my children were in the car. Because it took me, right after that, I went home. I was so furious. I began studying. I pulled up all their statutes, all their codes, section 657 of their codes of this so-called, this area. I'm not going to mention the area, and I went through all of their codes. I went through where he said I abridged, and I did not. And I had pictures of the area, and I'm like ready to go. So my kids are seeing me go through this process, and I asked them, I said, would y'all come to this meeting room where this hearing is going to go on with this magistrate? And I clearly explained the difference between the court, and we went through definitions between the difference between that hearing room and a court and this so-called magistrate and a judge. And they said, sure, Dad, we'll go with you. My wife, we all got dressed, and we came, and we showed up. And it was so important for my children to see this process, because there were about 30 people that came in that had the same citations for the same area at this one appointed time. They do several appointments throughout the day, So I come in, everybody's here for the same citation. They're all talking about it. 30 people went in. The so-called magistrate said, you guys are all here. You don't have any points on your driver's licenses. You can leave right now. Just plead not guilty. We'll reduce the fine. So impeding traffic, you paid us a couple $100, $300 or whatever it was, and you won't have to face any penalties of possibly your insurance being raised by your having points on your license and all kinds of. I'm scaring the hell out of people, and I'm the only one. I'm looking around. I'm the only one with a folder in my hand with all of their information, all my proofs, all my facts, all of their statutes. I'm like, what in the world is going on? As soon as he said this, about 30 people got up and walked out to go pay these fines. And literally about 30 people. They made about $10,000 in about 10 minutes. I couldn't believe it. I was the only person. Unbelievable. I was the only person that said, no, I will not take a plea. I will not take a plea. I have the proofs and the facts to stand on that I did not abridge any of these so-called statutes that were supposedly that I abridged. So, they had as soon as I said this, the policy enforcer and his boss that was there, same guys, they were shaking their heads in disbelief. Right. Oh, my God, we got one. We have one now. And so they had a meeting. They sent us outside, and then they had a meeting. Then they called us back in about 10 minutes later. Policy enforcer went on with his spiel. I got up, and I didn't even sit for the whole time that I was in there. I placed all of these documents out on the table, all of their statutes, all of their codes, and I went through and I recited those codes back to them. I recited the places and the positions that the cars were in and where the signs were. I showed the magistrate the pictures. He said, well, these pictures aren't real clear because they weren't prepared for me to have all this information, I know for sure. And so he says, I'll give you a judgment in 7 days. He says, but we got to get the camera footage. Do you all have camera footage? And the officer said, yes. Do you know I went to the police station 5 minutes after leaving the courtroom and found out that they do not have recorded cameras. It's only a live camera feed, live in court, under oath. Live. So I waited for this so-called judgment, but in the meantime, I also sent a letter to this magistrate telling him that, listen, these charges need to be dropped and dismissed. I didn't get a reply back in the 7 days. I gave him a couple extra days, and I just wanted to share with the family, if you know who you are, stand on law, true law. Stand on the truth. That's one of our major principles. Family be encouraged. Everything was completely dismissed. All the citations dropped, every last one of them. And I've been sharing this story all week with people. Even though I wasn't in proper status in what I know to be true, that who I was, I still stood on the principles that the Prophet has brought and the principles of who we truly are.
Islam, brother. Islam, yes, you were in proper status. You know, it's not the paper. It's not the paper that makes you. You see, that's a big disconnect with a lot of people. And this is why these modern Europeans, what they're doing now, you know, they started doing this like from last year. They're taking people's proclamation, name correction, national identification cards because they're seeing that people are throwing these, you know, prophets that stop flashing flashing your nationality card, these people, and they're flashing it. And so what are they doing? They're taking it. And now, and the attitude is like, okay, I've got your stuff, now tell me who you are.
Exactly.
Because it's not in the paper. It's supposed to be in you. That's why you're supposed to be clear. So that's where the declaring comes from. But, you absolutely was in your proper status because you had it all in the mind where it's supposed to be. Not in a piece of paper. I'm not saying don't have paper, but don't bank it on the paper. It's supposed to be in your head because, in your head in conjunction with the blood running through your veins.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So
you said in one of the
testimonies.
And
you know what?
And what she's saying too is that I'm a Moor, and they have not answered what you right. I'm a Moor, like you said, flashing, right, and like that's supposed to stop them from attempting to from doing what they've always done. What stops them is knowledge. That's what you did. They do that without. They don't answer the so-called bogus charges because they're not charges. They do. We need to do what you did what you knew was right. That's justice. That's true. That's
it's
true.
Live, family. It's live. I even heard, and actually, you said in one of the previous broadcasts. I want to say it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. We were doing the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Bringing that back because I'm continuously studying that. You said the activation of knowledge is the power. And I know that resonates with you now that I just said that because that's exactly what my heart was. It was flying. It was soaring. I'm like, we got to stand.
Yeah. We follow the dictates of your soul.
Yeah, and I was so excited that my wife and my children was able to see studying and being able to prevail, the justice, being able to prevail. Standing on that. Islam family, I'm going to yield the floor. I know we got a lot of callers, but I just want to say I love you all. I appreciate you all so much.
And what did you say your free national appellation is that you just put in for a card? I just wanted to
Batal.
Say it again?
Batal Bey, B-A-T-A-L.
Okay. All right, I'll look for that. All right, peace.
Yes, ma'am. Islam family, peace and love.
Thank you so much for the call.
Congratulations, too, for sure. Yeah. Congratulations.
Yes. All right, caller 708-466. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Mexico.
Peace, Islam. I'm Muhammad RVBey. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys for, I'm sure you guys have heard of this many, many times, but thank you for the information you guys are disseminating to the public. I really appreciate it. I've only been hip to the national movement for about a year now. And I really hope the question I'm about to ask doesn't sound a bit too naive to you guys, so just please bear with me. The question pertains to Western education. I'm still a college student, and long story short, a hold was put on my student account. I'm about to graduate in just one more semester. I understand it's Western education, but there's also some type of value to it one way or another. And hold was put on my account basically because of me failing to identify myself, and which I know is just pure BS. And I looked into the student handbooks and the codes for the school and whatnot. I just have one question before I start, sending writs telling them to just remove the restriction. Basically, do you guys have any advice for me on what things I should study besides? Because all I can basically find is their rules, basically. I mean, if you guys have any advice for me before I start, speaking with them and whatnot.
The Constitution is it. But you said you were in college about to graduate for what? You studying law, you said?
No, actually, I'm studying computer science.
Studying who?
Computer science.
Oh, man. I don't know.
Well, the law is the law is the law. The law is the law is the law. And knowing the difference between, what's a policy, a statute, an ordinance, etc., that could be written to deny your liberty. And the only way to know that is to know what they are and what the law is and what due process, the process of law. And that you would find in by knowing due process of law, knowing what law is in terms of the law of this land, being the Constitution. You're like, if you don't know it, you can't tell when you've been violated. And then it's just a matter of, like the brother that was just on, most of it is common sense and in your spirit already. You don't really need anybody to tell you when you've just been violated. You can kind of like sense it, feel it, and then when you know it, that's you act on that. But yeah, your guide would be to know what, and I tell people that all the time because they don't. That's how they've gotten over. I mean, the guy that just talked, he gave such a wonderful explanation of what is going on. It's just generating finance off of the ignorance of us not knowing the law, not knowing due process, and not understanding the most important thing, which is, as we spoke of, what is delegated, what is not,
Right.
And the restrictions of any so-called court, if they are a court, hearing, if it is a hearing, states what they're forbidden to do, what they can do, right. See, and because of our lack, they've gotten away for so very long in creating bills of attainders, for instance, which like a municipal warrant, a so-called municipal warrant, if you look it up, it's a bill of attainder. Then you go to the Constitution, and Article 1, Section 9 and 10, it says that they can't create any bills of attainder. But since for generations we've allowed them to do that and get away with it to violate us and rape us of liberties, that's the practice in which they've gotten used to generate finance so that they can continue violating the rights of the people. So if you don't know what your rights are, then you don't have them, and you cannot, if you don't know the law, you can't recognize when it's been violated. And then, like I said, there's also the process. The process is also in stone. That if all of us enforced it, this whole thing, this is what's so kind of frustrating in a way, is that regardless to the differences or whatever like that, if everyone wanted to enforce the law of the land, you know what I mean, it would like almost be over with tomorrow because you would squeeze them out. And, I mean, you really would. Like the brother demonstrated. If everybody came in the way he did, they wouldn't have made what did he say? They made $30,000 or something in 10 minutes. That would not have had occurred. But most of the people were just so glad that, they wiped their brow and said, oh, my gosh, it's just $300. Maybe I'll make a payment plan. They didn't even question. They didn't even question. They believe that these people are the government, that they are the law, that they have a delegation of authority over the people, when none of those things do they really have. None of them.
Another question. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, another question I do have is they sent me an email talking about we're going to have. Actually, I called them just to ask them about the restriction, and they told me they're going to have a meeting, which I did some research on, and I found out it's basically some administerial arbitration, which is BS also. And my question is, do you think it would be a smart idea to attend that arbitration, or just contact them through
Excuse me, but I might sound a bit late, but exactly what is the issue? I'm not clear what exactly is going on. And I hear you talking about it in an email and some sort of meeting that you're going to have regarding something, but I'm not really clear what it is.
Okay.
Okay,
I'm sorry I really didn't,
and I'm not sure
explain
if you want
in
to
detail.
get into it on the
Yeah,
line.
no, I don't mind. I don't mind.
So
basically,
out
there. Yes. I'll make it quick. Basically, the restriction was set because I failed to identify myself to a policy enforcer, one of the private companies the university hires, and because of that, I'm not sure how they figured out what my name was, but I'm sure they have their own system and whatnot. Because of me failing to identify me, it was just random. I was just randomly approached by a policy enforcer. I was leaving the campus, and she asked.
They put a restriction on.
I can't. The restriction was that I'm not going to be able to pick my last classes before graduation because I failed to identify myself, and that goes against the student handbook code. Because every year they print out, quote unquote, a student handbook which goes over the rules and regulations, kind of like, the rules the slave is supposed to follow. If the slave master asks you what your name is supposed to answer, things like that. That's basically what that is. And part of the student handbook says, the student shouldn't, whenever the policy enforcers ask them for identification, they should answer, or else they're breaking this so-and-so rules. BS like that. And because of that, which I did fail to identify, because I wasn't. It just made no sense to me. I didn't have to. It didn't make any sense. So I simply didn't identify myself.
There's no probable cause. Because you felt in your spirit there was no probable cause for them to come and ask you.
Were you on the school campus?
Yes, I was on campus.
Yeah. That's what.
And do you have identification from the college or the school or whatever it is?
Yeah, I didn't even have it on me at that point, but yes, I did have a school ID.
I don't understand that. Why it's in the handbook.
It's in the handbook that if in their handbook, if they come up, whatever they ask you, you must do. And since he did it, they're putting a restriction and trying to keep him from attending his last classes or whatever like that. Maybe you have to pay more money to enter.
Exactly.
Well, I would personally, because that's not even a reasonable restriction, because number one, first and foremost, there was an exchange of finance. All right? Now, I'm sure they took the finance, and so the fact that they took it says that you're giving them X amount of finance, and in return, they're going to provide you information. Now, if you in some way violated one of their rules, all right, there might be consequences, but the consequence can't be that we're not going to allow you to participate in that which you paid for. It can't be that. It's got to be something else. Like, you're going to have to do X amount of, student voluntary service or something, but it can't be that we're now going to deny you what you pay to get.
Right. I don't want to hold up the other callers. So my question is, do you think should I attend the arbitration that they're trying to make me come to? It's supposed to be a meeting just to decide what they're going to do.
I was about to ask you that. I was going to say, it sounded like you might have signed the arbitration agreement. You know what I mean? I don't know about that process, but you did sign the arbitration agreement?
I'm assuming that came along with me signing up for the university, but I did not sign any separate,
because I'm just telling you right now, they're going to try to enforce that agreement. Like, they're going to enforce that as a contract. If two people sign.
But you also need to look and see, does it say that while you are on the campus, you must have their identification on you at all times? You have to really look into what this policy says so that you can figure out how you can extricate yourself from it. Because the only thing that we can tell you right now is purely speculative because we don't know what the policy says. You have access to the policy, and so, you know, to me, my thinking is if you're so close to graduating, the one thing that you want to try and do is just to like, you know, smooth this over so you can get the heck out of Dodge.
All right.
I mean, that's you know, I mean,
I would attend. And I would attend anything that is discussing anything that's regarding me, so that so nothing slips through that's not correct. I mean, if I knew they were talking about me, and that's how it is, you know, you ought to have that opportunity. So.
Definitely, and I will document what happened because you probably don't even know what's in this report that was submitted regarding this incident.
That's right.
That is true. Thank you guys very much.
All righty, peace and love.
You could request that. That would be in law. That would be asking for a discovery, but that's not exactly the same application on this arbitration. But you do need to know. All right, I just wanted to add that.
Gotcha.
All righty.
Peace and love. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, caller 919-740. You are live on the air. Please state your affiliation at Northwestern Maxim.
Islam family, this is Naisha Bey at Northwestern Maxim. How you doing this evening?
Oh, fine.
Peace, Naisha.
How you doing? Quick question, and then I wanted to share one thing. One issue that I have is just I wanted to follow up on a writ review that I sent out. It's been a while, so I don't know, Mother Anai, if you've been extremely busy, you may have not gotten to it. So I just want to check on the status of that.
All right. What I'll have to. Did you send it via email?
I sent it via mail, and then I sent an email shortly after that.
All right. Do me a favor. Just send the email again so that I will find it at the top. If you can, and I can check it. I can check it out after the broadcast, and include a contact number I can call you.
Okay, we'll do that. And the other thing is kind of off topic. I thought it was interesting because I'm trying to get my family members to kind of wake up and try to get interested in declaring their nationality. And my mother was going through my grandmother's things, and she found her birth certificate, and she was listed as Blanca on the birth certificate. So I thought that was very interesting, and I'm going to do some more research on that.
As what?
Blanca. She's from Central America. Yeah, so she was listed.
That means white.
Like that
yes.
That means white.
Yeah, Blanca means white. That's Latin, or what they call Spanish for white. You know what I mean?
Right,
and Negro means black. And both statuses, they're not identities.
Right.
You got to keep in mind, it's like black and white, like people in North America. We was talking about this before. People in North America, the Moors of North America specifically, were branded with Negro, black, and colored. But Negro and black mean the same thing, and then white and Blanco mean the same thing. But they're not identities, they are statuses. So, it's not to say that because you talk in South America where what they're calling Spanish is more fluent, but it's really Latin, opposed to here in North America. Even though we have a lot of family here in North America that speak the Latin language, which they call Spanish or whatnot. But just know, you know what I mean? whether it said Negro or Blanco, like those are not nationalities; those are statuses. You know what I mean? So that's a great start. Or something great to research. You know.
Definitely. I thought that was interesting. So, and I am going to kind of dig, and just understand like what that was, or during that time frame, like why that would have been,
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was it. That I'll be brief because I know there's other callers trying to get in. But thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate everything you do for us.
All right.
So let's go on. All right, caller 972-839. You're live on the air. Please state your operation.
Islam family. Islam family. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Islam. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. First of all, I let you rise and give thanks and praise to Allah, and thanks and praise to the RVBey publication, to Mother, Anna Nee, to Rod Morale, and to you too, my brother Miz, and I don't hear Cujo no more. Islam. But anyway, Islam, Cujo. I listen to your rap all the time, brother, and that positive rap is what the Moor need to get back on their square. Indeed. And y'all having a great show, as I was stating. And I heard a few things. And first of all, excuse me. May Allah, in his solar return, wherever Allah is pleased to send him in his transition, a great man, a great physical physician, herbalist, great man, and me and my wife, we done ordered things from him that I'm telling the listening audience, it works because it is homegrown and mama grown. Should I say mother? But mama is mother. Now, as they were speaking about nation, now, I was looking in the Black Law Dictionary on page 1175. It's pertaining or relating to a nation as whole. A nation as whole. How many of them here know we more instead of black, Negro, colored, African American, whatever they want to call themselves, whenever they get to feel they can have an inspiration. But anyway, it's commonly applying American law to institution law or affairs of the United States or its government as opposite to those of the several states. That's the word national. Now, while you are stating this, a Moor in Northwest, as I heard stated, a Moor in Northwest America, the North Gate, is a descendant of Morocco born in America. Now, I also heard the word they're starving. Now, there's two words that underline, if you know the definition, and go back to our illustrious prophet, you must study. Now, we learn things, but when you are approached with that so-called as we think, not having all the knowledge of knowing, then an adverse effect come upon us. Now, sovereign is a person, body, or state in which independent and supreme authority is vested. A chief ruler with supreme power, a king or other ruler with limited power. That's also on page out of the Black Law Universal Dictionary. Now, I add Universal, Black Law Dictionary. 1568, that's the page. Now, this is very interesting. Now, all these movements are going on. Now, is you sovereign, or do you have the understanding of what sovereignty and plus sovereign means? Now, sovereignty is quoted, the supreme, absolute and uncontrollable power of which is independent state is governed. Supreme policy authority. Now, what I'm seeing what happened in the media now here very state is people are picking up something, hearing something, using something, and have not studied what it actually means to be. They are born more natural because they are descendants of Morocco born in America, but these other terms and terminology, do you really know what they mean and understanding the meaning of them? Because just like in order to catch a fish, you can have your hook, but you must put bait on the hook and cast it into the pond or wherever you so fit to catch fish. Now, these are my last quotes. We the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, insecure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote for the general welfare, and secure blessings of liberty to ourselves, Moors, and to our posterity, our babies, do adorn and establish this Constitution for who? The United States of America. You know, we already Moors, we already here, we established this here. Our president, that is, I know he's going to be cooking up him at home or Eric Holder. Well, that's another story. But we are home. We ain't never left home. They try to put it in books and get us in a transition that we done left home and we still home. All praise due to Allah. I'm going to leave the floor. Islam.
Islam.
Islam. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. All right. Next caller.
Did I mute it? Not
yet. My computer's just pausing right now.
I'm trying to mute it. It's okay. Come on.
Uh-oh. All right. There we go. Next caller, Brother Bakari. My computer's doing
it's where'd you go?
Wait, my computer decided to it's not, wait a minute. It's all right. I think it's coming on now. Brother Bakari, are you there?
Yes.
Oh, great. Islam.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, I was a wonderful show. I was, thinking on a few things, and I just want to say two things. I don't have a question. I just want to comment on some of these jokers that are making comments. Some of these individuals that wear fezzes and talk about licenses and how we need to have licenses and how we need to have and how we need to pay taxes and yada yada yada. And it's just it's to me it's extremely simple after I've studied for a while, because some of the terms that if any individual would study, such as competent court, as an example, people talk about jurisdiction. For instance, the young lady who recently passed away, or rather was murdered, and they talk about asking about jurisdiction, and it's the Moor's fault. It's certain Moor's fault. Well, a competent basically is either civil or criminal having lawful jurisdiction. Okay, that's part of its actual definition. And so, what's happening, it's quite clear to me, aside from COINTELPRO, there are a lot of people who are coming into this information and just simply aren't studying. They just don't care because they just want a benefit. And then they turn their back on the nation. And it's their fault if they get their asses kicked. Excuse my language. Because the second thing that I want to comment on is that I would strongly recommend, and, you know, I'm a little guy, you know, I have been in the movement for a very long time, but I would strongly recommend that, you know, people, when they interface with so-called police or police forces, that they get it out of their mind. You know, rather, for me, it should not even be a thought as to whether that particular policy enforcer is competent or incompetent. That doesn't matter to me, because what really matters is that they kill people, is that they literally will kill you. And you don't know what is going through that individual's mind, what happened when he or she woke up that day, you see. So my in terms of, like, if I were to write a book or on protocol, one of the first things that I would, you know, put in that pamphlet is when you are pulled over, if you are pulled over, is that you state certain information that is specific to your nationality. You hand over identification that is specific to your nationality, and if they say get out of the vehicle, get the hell out of the vehicle, because they will kill you. You know, this is no time to want to, you know, big up and talk about, you know, and start expressing your feelings about law. No, you know, keep your words to a minimum. Record the information, take down badge numbers, take down names, and leave that scene with your life so that you can go home to your children and so that you can follow up with writs. I don't think I would strongly recommend that people stop arguing with these people, because they will kill you. They will kill you. They will tase you. They will break bones. They will tear ligaments. You know, so I don't comprehend, you know, why so many of us are being so vocal with these people, and why we are making so much assumptions as to their state of mind or as to their level of competence. You see, I mean, like, you can literally walk down the street and you know, and see any person that, you know, that may be dressed in a certain manner, but that doesn't mean that they are going to conduct themselves in a manner that is specific or associated with their type of dress. You don't know what an individual is thinking. So I just wanted to share that with the audience. Hopefully, you know, people will think of these types of things, because these people will kill you. You know what I'm saying? I am so fed up of watching videos with Moors who are getting into a verbal, long, drawn-out conversation, you know, with these individuals. Most of these people, even if they're idiots, and you know, they don't care if you're a national or not. All they care about is getting their $42,000 annually or $30,000 annually and making, you know, whatever money off of people that they can. I mean, so I don't know what else to say, you know, about that, but it's just scary to me that some of us want to argue with these people that will kill you. Just give information that they, you know, stand on your square, be lawful. If they ask you a question, answer it lawfully. Answer it based on your nationality. But don't, but don't teach them. That's not what you're there to do. You're not there to teach a policy enforcer who went through 13 weeks of the academy about law. That's not what you are there to do. You know, that's not your, you know, what you're there to do is to come home, and then you know, so that you can send that writ out. So, like, you want to minimize anything that they're going to do to you that's going to also cause you more finance, because generally speaking, when you argue with one of these jokers, you know, they're going to up charges, take your conveyance or, up charges on you and do all sorts of things. So I just wanted to share that. And the last thing that I wanted to share is that if individuals took the time to read some simple definitions that pertains to who we are, I mean, it's just incredible that you could listen to some of these idiots wearing fezzes, whether or not they're COINTELPRO. Like, for instance, identity. Just that definition in the law of evidence, sameness, the fact that a subject, a person before a court is the same as it is represented, claimed, or charged to be. I mean, and then if you talk about Moorish national and how does that pertain to your status, and if you're a national, then that means that you can't be subjugated or subject to a corporate status or a what's the term? A status that is that of a citizen of a corporate state that resides in a corporate state. That alone speaks to jurisdiction. That alone speaks to your status. That alone speaks to your political status. And so when, if people are listening to some of these idiots that are associated with this black conscious movement on YouTube, apparently they are not studying. Why aren't you listening to RVBey? Why aren't you listening to RVBey? Why aren't you listening to Annie Cujo? Why aren't you listening? Why are you listening to these people who don't know how to read? Islam, I yield the floor.
Wow. That's interesting.
Wow.
And just to add on real quick, what he was saying about they will kill you, that goes in attest to the fact that, don't get it twisted. These highwaymen are military trained. Again, salute to Brethren Cujo, GS, because you posted up a video the other day about the European dude who was a Baltimore policeman or a highwayman before. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. And I only watched part one. I know it was a part two, but in part one he was saying, look, he came straight from the military to the policy force, to the policy, you know what I mean? The Roman soldier force that's on American soil, basically. That's what it is. So, you see people with guns, you see people with handcuffs, pepper spray, billy clubs. Don't think it's not military time, you know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. That's a militia, So, don't get it twisted, you know what I mean? That's all I wanted to add on.
I want to add on to that because a lot of people don't, back to the American Constitution, all right? People don't know that the police, they represent a militia in time of peace. Now, the reason I say in time of peace is I am not aware of there being a declaration of war going on that has been announced on this continent. There has been no official declaration of war being announced on this continent. All right? There's no. So, according to that Constitution, there's supposed to be no standing army or no standing militia in time of peace. Now, when you look at these police, they have tear gas, tasers, clubs, guns, and they're hiring people right out of the military. That is a direct violation of the American Constitution. Direct violation. there's so many constitutional violations. And the thing is there can be one or there can be many, but it matters not if the people are not enforcing that Constitution. And by enforcing the Constitution, that does not mean that you go and ask these public servants who work for you, please, can you stop bothering me? Please, can you give me back my stuff? You know, that is the wrong energy. They are public servants. Whether they are extracting the income by force or not, they are paid by the people. So that means that the people can fire them. And they can sit there and they can say that they are that we are you know, working against the American Constitution, or that we don't adhere to the law. That's bullcrap. All right, bullcrap, because we are speaking American Constitution 1791, which is the supreme law of this land. So don't tell me no bullcrap about we don't want to follow the law. Not only are we following the law, we are enforcing the law. Because on this continent, the only document, the only thing that is actually called law is the American Constitution. Codes, statutes, ordinances, that does not equate to law. If they were law, they wouldn't be calling them codes, statutes, or ordinances. They would be calling them the law. But even when they call themselves giving you some type of a citation, the citation does not say violation of law. It says violation of statute, ordinance, or code. That's not law. Those are all policies, and the policies are supposed to be enforced against corporations, not corporations per se. Let me not even use that language. So these ordinance, statutes, and codes, they're supposed to hold the people operating through these corporations at law. But the one who is obligated to hold them accountable to the law is the people. Unfortunately, many of the people don't know the law, and they think that they're supposed to go and ask the public servants for stuff that they're supposed to already be providing. We have to wake up. We can sit here for another 4 years and talk and have conversations, give excellent references, who do not take action. This is going to continue for another 4 years. This is the obligation is on everyone, but especially the Moors, because this document that runs the entire country, actually the continent, that was written by our ancestors. If anybody's supposed to be enforcing it, it's supposed to be us. We're supposed to be enforcing that American Constitution written by our ancestors, told to us by Prophet Noble Jew Ali to enforce. Nobody ever spoke of UCC, which, doesn't hold water. And I'll tell you why. Because the American Constitution is a free existing contract. So your UCC, out the window. Your codes, out the window. Your ordinances, out the window. All right? The American Constitution of 1791 is a contractual obligation that went into force in 1791. All of this other workaround processes that people want to chase down, all that came well after 1791. We need to get our priorities in order, and we need to get our priorities straight. So with that, let's see what our next caller is.
Islam. Before you go into our next caller, I just want to say this real quick because back in November, we did 2 classes on the science of the number 9. Cujo and I on the Sons of Allah, which, it's nothing new, you know what I mean, about the science of the number 9. But it just hit me the other day. 1791, that's still a 9. The 7 plus the 1 plus the 1 is a 9, plus the other 9 is a 18. That means that's 18, and then the 8 plus the 1 is a 9. So that revelation just hit me. I don't know if that was brought to light, before, but you're still talking, again, numerology, the divine science or applied science of the number 9. Let's keep that fact very clear. Islam.
All right, yeah, absolutely. All right, I think this might be our last caller because I don't see any more hands up. Caller 215-554. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Maxim.
Grace and peace, family. This is Brother King Bey at Northwestern Maxim. I want to salute Sister Anna E., Sister Roz, Brother Miz, Brother Cujo. They're doing a phenomenal job. I just had a couple of quick comments, then I'm going to clear the floor. Back to the brother who said he was stopped by the policy enforcers on his college campus. Just a real brief insight, and I so appreciate what you said, Sister Anna E., about the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the land. And that's what I've been standing on my whole life. Saved me many times. The brother needs to know that the Constitution is also a right to work document. And if that university and that college is attempting to stop him from graduating and receiving his documentation so that he could obtain employment to feed his family, that's a violation of federal law based on that Constitution. He has a right to work, and it also says that no man can impede his right. No entity and no organization, no individual can impede his right to contract. And by hindering him from graduating and obtaining employment, they are indirectly impeding his ability to feed his family, which is a violation of federal law. Now, I know the brother said he's new to the information. Me personally, I would file a full-blown lawsuit against him. I know he's probably not at that level. However, we are at war with these people, and it's just ironic to me that we are at war and many Moors are trying to be nice when these mother jumpers are trying to take our heads off.
Yeah, that's the declaration of war. It's all around you.
Right.
They said that shit. They said the war on drugs, the war on all types of things. You know what I mean? Over criminalizing people. The war been on, man.
Yeah. So it's just ironic to me that many so-called Moors want to be nice. But in any case, the brother needs to know, the Constitution talks about having the right to work, the right to contract. No entity can impede that. If they're keeping him from graduating, obtaining employment to feed his family, they are impeding that right under federal law, period. Nothing else to discuss. They're, regardless to what their corporate policy says at that university, if that university is on this soil, which is our land, they must abide by that federal document, period. So just be aware of that, brother. The other comment I was going to make is the elder who called in, I always appreciate his energy. And I just wanted to thank him and send him greetings and salutations. I appreciate his love and his energy, always in a spirit of peace. It's always very soothing to hear his voice. And the comment that another previous caller made where the brother was talking about how when the policy enforcers, try to be cooperative and, because they will kill you and so forth and so on. I agree with him to a certain extent, but I have to politely disagree to another extent, because we are at war, and each and every individual is in a different place in there on this path, on this lawful, spiritual, metaphysical path that we are all on, and we all have different battles to fight at different stages. And some people are at that stage where, as Brother Miz so eloquently stated, it's live free or die, period. And it's not negotiable for that individual where they are in their walk. So different people at different stages have to handle these scenarios differently, because we're at different rates of growth and stages of growth. And the other thing is, at different stages of spiritual elevation, I'm graced and peace by the Creator, that I rate at a level now where I just believe they don't even see me anymore, and so I don't even have to engage them. But everybody's not at that level. So I know when I was at that level, I had to stand my ground with what little knowledge I had, and, be courteous, of course, and don't make any sudden moves, but stand your ground, state your claim, stay on your square, because I don't know, maybe it was me, I felt a lot of fear, like in what the brother was saying, and they smell that. They can smell fear. So my thing is, don't be afraid, be vigilant. Be vigilant, because we are at war. And I'm not saying anybody go out and do anything crazy, but I'm saying cast fear out of your mind. Like, cast it far from you. That's not even who we are anyway. And, be vigilant. And most of all, jurisdiction, right words. Many people and many Moors are getting caught up in situations because they're using the wrong words, and not only that, they're doing it with the wrong spirit. And when you do things with the incorrect words and the wrong spirit, it's never going to turn out good. And there are many Moors who come with this arrogance, this macho, and the universe spanks them. So, as I said, every individual is at a different place in their walk, and they have to practice their particular spiritual, lawful Tai Chi at whatever level that they're at. But, I believe you have to stand your ground, and you have to state your claim, and not a whole lot of back and forth, but sometimes, like jurisdiction, like you could say the right thing in a few words and stop a policy enforcer cold with a few words, where he will know this is not an ignorant person. This is not a Negro colored black person. This is someone that's to be dealt with. This is a force to be reckoned with. I got to handle this person differently. So, that fear and all of that, like, I'm not really in agreement with cowering and, bowing down. I just, just me personally, where I am, I don't believe, especially not with us being at war, it's not time to be nice. I'm not saying do anything stupid, but I would say be vigilant, stand your ground, and try to read the scenario, try to read the energy where these people are, to know who you're dealing with, and, handle yourself accordingly. But, many of these people who have been slain by these policy enforcers were fully cooperative. They were fully cooperative. Yep. One of the brothers had his hands up, laying on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Another one had his hands up with his back turned, like running away. And they still did the brother. So just, forgive me if I seem a little passionate about it, but we're at war. This ain't no time to be nice. It's time to be vigilant. Be smart. Read the scenario. Try to read the energy. But, we're at war. And with that, I yield the floor. Islam.
Facts.
All right,
Facts. Islam. And I want to say something too on the live free or die note. If you know, some people don't want to take that like, you know, if people want to take that like, well, you know, I'm not ready to die. Yo, listen, that statement has metaphysical levels to it. So
Yes,
remember that you can be dead in the eyes of the law. You know what I mean? If you're not living free, if you're not in full life, you can be classified as civil to mortus. So however you want to be a vegetable vessel, then you know what I mean? That's what it is if you're not going to live free. But either way, you're either going to live free or you're going to die. And you don't have to, because, you know, really, you know, it's not, the spirit man can't die. But, you know, in law, there is a such thing as civil death. If you're not going to live free, you're going to die. And that's just what it is. And you could be alive, dead as hell. You know what I mean? Just living dead, the walking dead. But just for the record, just so we know that's, you know, not that's basically a maxim or axiom, really. It really is, because you have the corporate state or quasi-national domicile, New Hampshire, who adopted that maxim, live free or die. So that's their motto. That's an international law maxim. I'm just saying, you know, if you're not trying to, you know, go all out, take the front line with your shotty, you know, okay, cool. You don't have to do that necessarily, because everybody's not built to be soldiers. Everybody's not built to be on the front line. But if you're still not going to live free, you will die, man, metaphysically or physically. Civil to mortus, or, you know what I mean, they'll take you out. So perfect example, like you said, there's been many compliant people, quote unquote, who still got shot down. I don't know what the hell the answer is. You know what I mean? But I do know for a fact they've declared war through their actions. You know what I mean? Because what they say, actions speak louder than words.
No doubt.
How many people of ours they kill, and then when it goes through the process, what? Not guilty. That's war, family. I mean, what else do you mean to know? Like, that's war.
And brother Miz, if I could say one thing on that, and I know we've discussed this offline before, but I want to put it out there that a group of 21 people constitutes a grand jury. And we need to find 21 enlightened people who are not afraid to come together and begin to hold these policing forces, these fictional corporations, all of these bogus imposters on our land. We need to start finding them. We need to start calling them on the carpet. We need to start sentencing them. But we need 21 competent, enlightened Moors. That constitutes a grand jury. Yeah. And we need to start making rulings on these situations, because really it's almost like they're doing these blatantly fraudulent rulings, letting these people free, like saying, when are you guys going to do something? We're waiting on you. Like, you are the real government. You are the ones that's really in control. Please put us in check. It's almost like this is so flagrant now. I don't know. It's like a red flag for those of us who know, like, hey, it's time. It's time. And Islam, I yield the floor.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that call. We're going to take our last caller now. Caller 513-295. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwestern Accent.
Peace and love, family. This is Sister Alicia Sharael. Just was checking in. I ain't going to hold up the line. Thanks for the show tonight. How are you all doing?
Oh, we're doing great. How are you?
I'm good. And I brought somebody in on the line, so we just listening in and just getting it in. And so thanks for all the information. This has been a good class. And just to add to what you guys are saying, it definitely is war, and they have declared war on the people in many ways. But again, the people just still aren't listening, and we're not paying attention. And it was something else that we had looked at. One of my families had sent to me, and it was a brother who was talking about how I think the United States had did a salvage claim on the titles like Black, Indian, Hispanic, Mexican, and it was something that Bush did, and nobody knew, the claim, nobody knew about it. And so now they're saying that certain people can no longer claim to be Indian and all this, this other stuff. And so as we're looking at what's happening in terms of people still being under this title and this brand, again, if we don't correct the presumption or kill the presumption that we're not that, they still look at us as property. And so it definitely is going to come with a lot of study, and I've had, quite a few months to myself to be able to do some diligent study to try to figure out and to try to really not figure out but just understand what the hell is really going on here in terms of how they're getting us, really just coming in the world. And so a lot of where we give away our rights is at the right when we give birth to our babies, and it starts there, and that's a contract in and of itself. And again, ignorance of the law is no excuse. So we just have to get up on it, and we have to continue our studies, and we got to feel what it is, war, but we have to be strategic in this game, because either we can walk away with our lives, or we can be murdered. I mean, just because these people, they ain't playing with us. So that's all I have to say. I yield the floor, and thanks for everything, Sam.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the call, and we'll be hearing from you in the future.
Absolutely. Peace and love.
All right. Peace and love. All right. Well, that concludes the broadcast. Make sure and check us out. Tomorrow we will be at the National Theater near Harlem. Doors open at 6:30. Class begins at 7:30. We will be there live in the flesh. So we'll see you tomorrow. And thank you once again for joining us, not just today, but for the past 3 years, going into our fourth. Islam, peace and love.
Wow.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the biblioteletech that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated in this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's a trap. You know them guys don't like that. Waking up from a nap, like where the hell my crown at? Take a step back, like I know this bitch ain't bite back. It's kinda crazy how this karma it strikes back. We enslaved Islam, so they slaved us right back. We called them niggas, so they nigga this right back. We brought them to light, but they ain't bring that right back. If I was lazy, dirty dancing with the baby, then maybe, then just maybe won't revolt like Haiti. I too smart, love a poor Marcus Garvey your ass. No, but you are leading God body demand. Now I ain't gotta be bad, and you ain't gotta be mad, but the planet is heating up, so the first I'll be last. I got that melanin that's better than anything you ever medicine. We at your front door, wonder why you never let us in. Oh, I get it, you never wanted to put some credits in. Well, just forget it, cause I don't know if you can edit sin. We've been enlightened long before Thomas Edison. Skeletons to prove that you wasn't even relevant. In the Caucasus Mountains, cause the sun was your deficit. Captain Caveman with the plan of the Jesuits. Check my bloodline, but in time I bring the evidence. Self-governing body, so I don't need no president. Democrat, Republican, donkey versus elephant. I studied in law, so I ain't down with none of that. I self-law and master, so I'm running that. This Molotov counter burns faster, so I like them that. Despite the fact that ain't even what I'm mad at. I spit the truth, so you can hear that. My skin is brown and here's the proof, but you ain't hearing that. Dead in the eyes of the law, that's why they call you black. Naming all caps when you fall, that's why I strike back. And strike that from the record ab initio. You gon' need more than some pressure, I got a vicious flow. I can take the road to the high, or I can hit them low. Try to calcify my third eye, oh you gon' have to go. Chemtrails all over the sky, and you don't wanna know. Don't go inside of my tribe, they coming no more.
If you believe that your history started on a slave boat, I can guarantee you that's where it ended too. That's what I'm saying. Then, after saying that, and so believe me, go back and do some studies past the 1700s, and I'll guarantee you, sure as you're sitting there listening, or wherever you are, watching, listening, you will find nothing but the word Moor, and that's nothing. Because we work on black. That description, maybe, black or more or whatever, but that's it. Know the difference between a description and an actual, person, place, or thing, noun. I mean, really.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. From the pyramids to the project, the beginning is the part they want you to forget. Implant your memory with that noose around your neck. It's the king out for planning, it's set and full of effect. The butler, the help, and 12 years a slave. Django and Selma, they get them accolades. They made a movie called Exodus about the gods and kings with an all-white cast from Egypt. Now that's the same. They ain't never seen no movie about no European slaves. We were traveling the seas when they was living in caves. We had to civilize them, show them how to behave. In fact, we brought them light and taught them how to bathe. This is trading places with stolen identity. We agreed to be educated by our own enemy. Reverse psychology, I'ma need a lobotomy. An exorcism just to get this shit about me. Ross Mariah, Anna E, Miss Raheem, Tariq, Cujo from Cannonland, listen to them speak. I done learned from the best, I don't need no DNA test. The nations in my womb have given from the breast. The empire's back, so you know what's next. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess. Yes, yes. The Moors are waking up, now you must confess.
Birthright theft. The whole deal was, where's my land that, for them? The whole deal was like, this is really quote-unquote promised land. This is really the quote-unquote heart of civilization. This is really what you might call Northwest Africa. And I say that to people so they can stop saying I'm going back to Africa and understand that they're in it. It's the Garden of Eden.
That's what they had in Columbus's journal that they arrived in Eden.
So what has happened is absolute lies. That's right. And the land of milk and honey is another terminology. So these things are important because as you're doing studies, and if it says the land of milk and honey, you need to know they're talking about the North American continent. If you don't know that, then you miss it. And that's part of our problem. That part of our problem is the miseducation. We have been lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to, lied to.